Hey guys, Dave here. Welcome to the Centurions Review, the punk rock band of wargame review institutions. This is Hostile Takeover. It's a prototype that was sent for me for review. The author said it was a 3 to 4 player wargame, and I said that sounds interesting because I don't play many 3 to 4 player war games, so I told him to send me a copy. Anyhow, when I got it, it was totally different than what I expected. I was expecting like a hex and shit war game or something. The components look more like it's from like Settlers or Catan or something. But we'll try it out and see how we like it. I'll show you the rules and how to set up and how to play. Alright, lads and lassies, let's see what's inside this prototype. It says recommended players 3 to 4, and the average session is 30 to 45 minutes. Inside you have a rule book, and then some tiles. And these are unclaimed buildings here, and these are the players' buildings and dice. To set up the game, each player places a tile, and the next player places a tile. It's just got to have one square that connects to the previous tile, and this goes on and on until all the tiles have been placed. And yes, you can have open areas and stuff that's allowed. After the tiles are placed, each player will place one small building, starting with a player who plays the last tile. And these big buildings here go across 2 tiles. Alright, starting with the first player, each player places their spawn point, and their spawn point is not allowed to touch small buildings, and it must be at least 1 square away from large buildings. So this guy will put his spawn point here. This guy will go here. And this one will go here. After that, you just put your pawns on top of your spawn points. Alright, on a turn, starting with the first player, they can move their pawn 1 space, or if they're adjacent to a building, they can attempt to claim it, or if they're adjacent to another player, they can attack them. So this guy's going to move 1 to get adjacent to this. This guy will move here, and this guy will move next to the big building there. Alright, so on the second turn, this guy here is going to try to attack this building. Small buildings take 10 points to kill, and large buildings take 25 points to kill. So he'll roll to see how much damage. He does 8 damage to it. The problem with this prototype is it doesn't have a way to show damage, so I guess you just got to write down on a piece of paper that you did 8 damage to that building. And so then the yellow player will go, and he's done 6 damage to that, and the blue player will go and he's going to attack the big building, and he does 1 damage to the big building. The only other rule is combat. So let's say these two are next to each other and they're going to have combat. So they're going to roll. And the green got higher than the yellow, so the yellow sent back to his spawn point. The player has 3 lives, so yellow here now only has 2 lives left. After all players are dead, then you count the buildings that they've claimed. Let's show some claiming of buildings. Over here, once he does 10 points of damage to the small building is removed, and it's replaced with 1 of his. And over here, when this guy finally does 25 points of damage to this, it's replaced with 1 of his buildings. When only 1 player remains, you count victory points. For a small building like this one, you would get 1 point. For a big one like this, you get 5 points. And if you're the last player standing, you get an additional 5 points. So what do I think of this? I think for like a kid's game or a really casual game, it's alright. But it's got some issues that they can probably fix before they release this and make it significantly better. First way is to find a way to mark how much damage you did to a building. Maybe have a track on a player aid or something to keep track. And as far as the rule book, it doesn't say if I can move diagonally or not. So they need to correct that in the rule book and let people know. And here's the biggest problem. There is no way to get advantage in combat. So if these two are in combat here, they're just doing an opposed die roll with no modifiers. You need a way to get advantage. So, for example, one way to get advantage is, let's say yellow was attacking green, but green is next to one of his own buildings, then green gets like a +2 to his die roll or something. That will make positioning in the game important and add to the strategy. Another thing they could do is include more pawns. Let's pretend this one's a yellow one too. So you could have two of your pawns attack one, and then you'd roll 2 dice, and the other guy would only roll 1 or something. But yeah, there's got to be some way to get advantage in combat. Just having it where they get next to each other and they just do an opposed die roll without modifiers, there's no strategy in that whatsoever. Yeah, so that's the biggest problem. Once they get that ironed out, it'll probably be a significantly better game. Thanks for watching, and have a good evening.